hard to pull myself away. Yeah, start this off with a little something funny. I hope you will find it funny. A little light humor, I do, if I do say, and I do. Hey, how's it going? Oh, you did, eh? Okay. So, so it hasn't been busy then? Oh yeah, good. Well, I didn't think I knew where the phone was, but it was in the cradle with the cat. So yeah, so give me a call. All right. Well, we'll see you when you get home, and hopefully the weather holds up. Okay. Bye for now. See, it was that quick. Little segue. I'm just adding a little comment here, and I'll speak it out too because I think it's very powerful. Although it looks like the person just left, so that really doesn't doesn't say it to them. But I guess it wasn't meant to. Um, but I do want to type it because it may sound odd, but I don't feel like I've noticed this happen very much. If it's happening after a video is posted, I'm not aware of that. I mean, I get likes, but most of them happen during, which is, I guess, why I am not super familiar with seeing. I'll be right back. I just noticed my coffee was not in the fridge, and it's time to put it in the fridge. But yeah, I get them during. Afterwards, not so much unless it's a comment. But I just wanted to. Oh, yeah, the person looks like they left. I wonder why people click in so briefly. I don't know if they're just saying I want to watch this later or something, or again, very, very sensitive to little things. Again, trying not to judge it because I can be at times, but mostly not. Or if it's like the title kind of speaks to them, but then they're like, I can't make sense of it. So, well, allow me to help you make sense of it then. I like how the smiley's right into the GMC. Just gonna check something quickly. When I came back into the chat just to say hi, and then didn't really. And it's actually kind of funny that I'm doing this theme today because I saw a song about a cat in the title, and then not looking for such, and then I saw a username that had the word hairball in it, and then I made that funny cat joke, and now I'm watching for Kathy. Hi, Kathleen, and Kathy. And I'm seeing, even though the sky's pretty gray, like it's not like super cloudy, but it's fairly gray, I'm seeing this interesting, I don't know if you can get a sense of it. The window often seems to kind of bounce light off that I don't really even otherwise see much, although it was a bit, but you can see that interesting. May have been a bit more smooth if I was using a cell phone and had just rotated the lens. It's amazing that they can do that, eh? But it's just an interesting bit of light on the ceiling as I'm thinking of a couple loved ones. So I was wondering, because I was talking about a band the other day, which I know some people like, some people don't. You may say isn't that most bands, but some people very much dislike this one band, and I've never been sure why. I haven't listened to them much since high school. Maybe I should say what it is. Um, Although was looking at some of their songs the other day, and I saw a title that I felt was saying a certain something and kind of turned me off. But just for the sake of conversation, like I'm not a super strong fan of them. I don't necessarily hate them either. Chapstick if you're curious, Chapstick if you're not, and the band is Nickelback. But it's kind of the same with this song. And I suppose if people tune in, that might be telling me they want to hear the song, or it might be telling me that they um, it might be telling me that that they are more drawn to the other part of the title. Without you telling me, I don't know. This isn't pre-planned. The concept, the base idea is there, and I'm going to kind of go with the next one that I meant, next thing that I mentioned, and we'll come back around to the song perhaps. So I may finish this with the song. We shall see. Um, I mentioned siblings. I have one half sibling. Um, we aren't exactly close. I don't know if he's ever really checked out the channel or not. Um, I know I've sent him a couple of the videos, but that's one thing about him is he doesn't seem to really be um, online that much, from my perspective. And I guess that can be a mixed kind of thing, either way. But and I sometimes had thought, is he dealing with stuff that, sorry, I just had lunch. Is he dealing with stuff that I don't know he's dealing with? He's not telling me, and we're not as close as we could be. And I guess that's meant to be, or maybe there's a reason for that. I don't know. But when I was thinking about when I actually defined in a conversation with somebody in a semi unlikely place, I actually defined how it is he's been able to move around and be successful in his life. He had a band take him under their wing when he was young. It's actually a little bit older than me. My goodness, he's almost 50. Good gracious, where's time go? Had a band take him under their, take him on, and be a band with him for that's bad, weird language, but you know what I mean. For quite a while, and then he had, sorry, laptop, and then he had wait, CB before they might. Which reminds me, I just wanted to look up something. One or two step families, and then he had. I don't know. I'm not making my voice for the most part. Then he had possibly some job offers, and bands that he worked with probably said, "Oh yeah, he's really good. We just worked with him." Especially if they had recently worked with him. You know, um, Out of all the producers that probably was there, if they'd just worked with him, and I liked how focused he was and how friendly he was and all that stuff, then that may have helped. And the moving around part, for those of us that, I'm not saying that it's everybody's solution, and I don't think it's mine. Somebody very briefly, I realized that maybe that was a bit of an awkward moment to tune in on, but whatever. Um, um, One thing that I realized that he may have been doing, and it kind of came out this way in the chat, and I'm still, being relatively vague, relatively ironically. It, uh, I don't think it passed away. I don't know who ended up with it. It could have been his ex. And if so, like I know he has access right now. He has a partner that has a very, very similar sounding name to mine as a former name. Um, but um, although that being said, I'm not entirely sure because I think that he was friends with a couple of, with he had a few exes, and yeah, I think he probably was friends with a couple of them. Anywho, but it may have been possible that he was moving to a place. I mean, Sydney is a very big city. I certainly didn't see all of it in the just under 2 weeks that I was there on a budget, mind you. But it's a big city. Um, and I think all of his relationships happened there. I mean, he was there the longest. One may have happened in England. But it occurred to me, aside from maybe getting job offers and able to do so, because he was getting enough work to be able to afford to do that and kind of like doing so, I wonder if it was also a bit of trying to keep away from exes or memories of perhaps like places that they'd went to together or whatever. I don't feel the need to do that, and I also don't feel as able to anyway. Uh, but and then I mentioned something about forging paths, and that's very interesting because my dad was a welder, and I didn't exactly give it that much thought when I put that in the title, but I did kind of think, oh, interesting word choice considering that. I don't know if I channeled it through my dad or what, but there you have it. So, I don't know how much I have to say on it because it's still something I'm trying to figure out in some ways. Uh, um, and that's kind of what prompted the discussion that I had. But it wasn't on my channel, and I wanted to bring it here for at least a little while because I had said something about the initial concept of this was find, and it could still be somewhat, was about finding your spot in the world, your place in the world, not just geographically. Um, and I'm not sure. I do and don't feel like the right person to mention that because I'm still trying to figure it out. But if we are talking about authenticity and self acceptance, self awareness, those kind of things, I've done. I don't even know if I'd say it was work. I would say that I came to know about those things pretty easily and was kind of like, okay, I mean, yeah. This was amazing, by the way. This lady's cancer story. I can't remember how old she is now, but Um, she is surviving it. Um, I'm very curious what's going. It sounded any crazier than usual. I'm very curious what she's saying about theater, though. There's one person in his chat that I'm multitasking here. I mean, I'm obviously not listening to the audio, but I'm not really sure. He doesn't seem like he's all that theatrical. Musical and entertainer, yeah. And he's been getting kind of sharing, not necessarily experiences, but feelings about, going through life. And that's been appreciated. I know he's done it on his last uh, two podcasts, and I was thinking I might watch them back. And in fact, one of his viewers tonight was actually saying that this is a good one to rewatch. I'm not sure what it was particularly about that because I was more so talking with the other person in the chat, but a little bit with him. Anywho, I don't have a ton of energy right now, and I'm not really sure what else to do with this podcast. But I'm not ready to wrap it up yet. I don't feel like somebody might still tune in and have a good chat. I mean, I did just have a good chat, but every format, feels different. Whether it's in the chat section, um, I mean, I'm kind of reminding her, because I don't know why she wouldn't be curious. This one particular person I was talking to, who's never seen my videos before, if she'd like to come check it out. But on the topic, I'm not really sure that I have anything else to say. Okay, music to order together. Um, I did think of a song with the theme that I mentioned earlier and just the kind of funny little phrase that I worked into that phone call there to G. Um, I even feel like many months ago, I may have. I know the other day about Nickelback, I did, I think. But I may have said something to the effect of why I feel like some people don't like this song. Harry Chaplin. I had no clue it was by them, I'll tell you that. Oh. And if you caught my mention of it, you caught my mention of it. But I think I have changed my mind on it. Instead, want to talk about being kosher. Fun, but kosher. I don't want to get too distracted here and now. Every time I go to take Nicola, there's now a Nick there. So, which reminds me, I'm sure she'd be saying something. If so, um, So, like I've realized that music is something I'm good at. Um, Even if I'm not getting as many opportunities as I might like. I think we should still have hope for the banquet. As long as what's his face isn't still there. Um, Things I've talked about on this channel before. I don't know if I want to re-mention them. Nobody's here right now. We're only 20 minutes in, but like I have, and that's why I'm ready to do more within those things. That's why I'm ready to um, 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 now, without permission, I can't. But I just discovered a musician, and I'm so happy. Um, and curious. And it's got a last name that I often, when I've seen it, don't think is real, but or he's got rather. I'm not too sure what that is. Um. Okay, he doesn't have a lot of content on here. It goes back 4 years. What was that? Start of the pandemic? No. Yeah, actually, kind of close. Um. I'm just looking to see if there's any other suggestions, like other songs in here that I might want to do, but a couple of them are from shows I've never seen or heard of, and a lot of it looks like it's instrumental. But what I will say, without a super strong promise, but a probability, like this was just a month ago. I'm going to introduce myself to this guy on here, I think. This video only has 3 comments, 6 likes, so you could use some more love, I think. Mattia Amber. The other thing I'm unsure about is that he loved that considering a certain aspect. So I'm not too sure what to think. So maybe it's good I didn't just promise something. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I guess that's a question. How do you decide your comfort levels? How do you make decisions? How do you decide if something's too strange or if you can look past it? So many of us, especially with that latter one, we just avoid. I relate to that somewhat. But at the same time, I do think that sometimes that isn't the answer. And so then it is what is. I wanted to talk a bit more, I think, about um, just a moment. How long are you? That's a weird way of asking somebody's height. That's kind of interesting. I don't know if she saw me saying it or just thought to say it. Both would make sense. But I was mentioning this podcaster that I follow. Sorry if my reading eyes are a bit weird or whatever. But and how he's mentioned opinions, but not necessarily personal experiences. But they can be very powerful. And she's asked him if he will. He usually rows for about 2 hours, and he's a little bit more than that. Whoa. um, I'd also, and I think I said this. Ooh, I accidentally almost closed this toggling, so I really shouldn't because each tab is very small because I got a lot open. If anybody has any idea for a song to wrap up every podcast with, that will give it a bit of format. And also, like if we wrote one together, that would be cool. Which isn't like what Maxi does with his Fa La La song, but um, take it how you will, man. Sorry, inside joke. Literally, I'm inside. But it's interesting that one of his viewers just said that they were 6 foot, and then another one says that they're 4'10". Interesting to have those together. I mean, they're not standing side by side, but you know what I mean. Um, and I did that song actually recently in one of the videos, so I'm not going to do it again. It was too recent. I would love to. I would love to do it. Singing a song, so but no, I'm not sure if I'm feeling it. I really should stop toggling. Um, but yeah, yeah. Anytime I've been here, there's not been anyone here except for maybe once briefly. Hopefully, there hasn't been anyone here while I was multitasking. But at the same time, I did keep talking. Yeah, my eyes may have looked a little bit funny if. There's a song that mentions two colors, and my friend was just telling my other friend that he was going to stay for that song. I said, I'll sing you the whole rainbow. And I wonder if there's inspiration in that. I really would like to try and do some songs. And then I got an hour or 2 hours. 2 hours? In a bit. Hopefully, it won't be too windy for G getting back home. To finish up a chore. And well, that reminded me about looking at this. Because it, whoops, no, I don't want that pinned. I wonder if that's going to show right to everybody else. I have a reminder out there though, and then I want to do some other stuff online. I've been building playlists here, there, and everywhere. In this window, and that window, and this window, and that window, and I want to do that. Um, but when I said that I would play the full rainbow, I mean I'm thinking of one song. I don't know if I want to do it. I'm thinking of a couple versions of it. But isn't there more than one? Oh, well, there is that one too, but I don't know if I want to do that either. I know I'm alluding to them, and how dare I not play them then, right? But I don't know. Not really feeling them at the moment. Nothing against rainbows or their people. Hopefully, your true colors are kind and loving and good. And if not, you should probably work for them to be so. I would actually really love and delight to be, to say it this way, to be doing some music when somebody tunes in. And VB probably went to bed already. Two pages, and one of them I can view in that chat. The other one I can't. And he unintentionally forgetting this, even though I've seen me in video a couple times. I guess I'm not constantly on his mind yet. Just kidding. Anywho, so he came in with the one I couldn't see, and I don't think anybody was relaying my messages, and he couldn't see mine, and otherwise we would have chatted with him too. And then it was I want to come to do the podcast, and I feel like he may have. They just get so well, they multitasking, and they made time for me, and I really appreciate it. Um, chat about some stuff, but they were listening to what Nancy was doing in the background. But one of them, he's off to the dentist next. I said, I'm better than even the best dentist. Um, um, but he's got some other stuff to do and doesn't really watch that many lives, he says. So I actually just looked out, and I don't know if that's the case for the live viewers or they don't usually, but they did. But personal growth is individual. It's always linear. We can think we put certain ways of behaving behind us until we find ourselves reacting to a difficult colleague or whatever. Hmm. Hmm. Well, I ain't got no colleagues, so I don't know, or co-workers. Colleague is a fun word, though. You must admit. You must. You can't leave here without admitting it. Um, I don't know. Apparently, he's talking about something that we talked about before, but when I tune in, all I'm hearing is music. Although it looks like he's about to talk there, but I'm doing this, so I really should focus on it for a little bit longer. I am feeling a little bit hungry though, even though I did have lunch a couple hours or so ago, and I want to do some other things. So if this is proving to not really be that engaging, I might wrap up soon. I'm just wondering if there's anything else I'd like to say first that comes to. Sorry. Um, just somebody sharing something here about has a friend who has been in therapy and described herself to be stronger than ever. Than had um anywho, now I'm finding myself back there chatting, and it is a bit more fulfilling than being here when nobody's here. I'm still able to tag Manav. Also, it's probably a little bit late in this part. Well, it's only 37 minutes in. I thought it was closer to 50. I'll just say that if and actually I'd rather put it in the I don't know if she'd notice it though. And she did give me another way to reach her, but it didn't go through. And right now I'm trying to decide if I'm going to contact Jordy. So I don't know. But that's just something else I want to check out. So before finishing this up, is there anything that I want to say? Even if I'm still working on figuring it out, and we all are, I feel awkward saying this when nobody's here, but hopefully somebody will say it, will hear it after, and it resonate with them, stick with them, they'll carry it with them, and maybe they'll say it around others as well. Chapstick if you're curious, chapstick if you're not. There you go. That's it. See you later. Bye. Just kidding. No. Um, I guess although I haven't done a lot of it, I would recommend if you can travel, move, work abroad, it might be worthwhile for you. I wonder if there's any peaks and troughs, eh? Um, I also might want to talk about the common struggles, although they certainly don't have it as well, of musicians and artists and this and that. But yes, I would say if you could travel, do. I must remember to I'll write down in a moment and then look at this, look at this, look at this. If I don't get to this beforehand, I'll do it when he's got the thing because then I'm down to these two devices. Not that I have nothing to do on here, but yeah. But anywho, hmm, there's something standing out to me. There's something standing out to me, and I don't know if it's going to change what I say here or not. But I had put a comment, just a very short one, in the chat about a song, and then I didn't know if I really wanted it there, so I edited the title. I was reminded of the task I have to do, that I put a little note to myself in the chat. In that case, it was more of a note to myself than to you. Although I don't see it um, at the moment, other than settle on in to join this journey here with me. And it was nice to see if you were early, or stay and listen and like and unlike, etc. And then come back and decide, and stay for a little while and decide uh, to like after all. Didn't say anything, but I'll take it. I'll take it, I guess. To decide and realize you're looking at greatness. And I say that just in confidence that I mostly have. I'm sure you are greatness also. But that other part, I accidentally pinned it. So not only that, but it's at the top. And it's like a white area with our icon and our name. And it's message retracted. And I'm wondering, like, I was going to kind of try and be deep and philosophical to wrap this up with, and, and say about psychotherapy that led to neurotic introspection. Yeah, I'm not sure I follow. But anywho, it's almost as if I'm maybe not meant to overdo myself right now, that I maybe should focus on some other things, but that I just need to say one more small thing, one more small blurb in place of the one that I had there. I'm not sure what it'll be, so just a moment. Stronger than ever because of being in a good relationship at last, but felt bitter that she hadn't had that sooner in life. I want to talk about, finding your path and stuff, and how to get there and this and that. It's very individual. That's the thing, and it would depend on who I'm talking to. I did a video the other day, and it wasn't necessarily mentioned in the title, but it was just yesterday, I think, or the day before, and I mentioned about counseling, and I mentioned how some people that work in that field with their degrees um, get tainted. They start to hear of a certain struggle and think it's just the same way that everybody else struggles with it, or that like what they suggest to one person is going to work for everybody. Suggestions are fine. You can tweak them, not tweak them, take them, not take them. Now I'm getting a bit long, but anyway, so it really is quite individual, though. It really is. However, maybe Nicola and Whitmer will surprise me and come say hi at some point. But in the meantime, I have things to do and do to things. I have things to do to things. Yeah, that might stand out. If I didn't have so many damn things on it, would be even bigger icon. But um, kind of based on what my I will call her friend, and I think she would say mostly the same towards me, even though we've only met in chat a few times with her. Um, was saying, and that other one there, love can make us strong. I think that's going to be the message that I wrap this up with. Love can make us strong, and that's love of self, love for others, um, and love that we receive. We truly need to cherish that. We need to make sure that we are doing our best to love those that we come in contact with and those that we see that we're sharing the world with. We need to make sure that we are giving ourselves the love that we need, that we maybe really, really deserve, because things can be hard sometimes. And we also um, need to let it in, need to let it come to us. And part of me thinks, well, who wouldn't? But some people don't for different reasons. And the moment that you do can change your life for the better. My eyes are darting more than ever to these horse pictures behind me right now, which I've always thought of my dad, especially about. And although I thought I was just going to be simple and wrap this up right then and there, I think there's a little bit more to come. So if you've made it this far, great. If you tune in during, great. Otherwise, this is for me. This is for me, but maybe it'll mean something to you. I just want to quickly do this. Um, Here's a question for you. Um, it reminds me very much of the first time that I felt his presence at the age of around 25. And I'm hoping, for the most part, that life doesn't take me, that life that as much as I'd love to be where he is and where my other loved ones are that are with him, as much as sometimes it's hard on earth. Um, yeah, if I play it from this point, there can't be much more to it. Um, it is uh, it is yeah. Um, um, Basically, you know, something that I probably need to hear, and that maybe you'd benefit from hearing as well. I don't know. What is this? Have I seen this before? Many. I've seen her. Isn't she the one I recently discovered? And I thought she was talking about mediumship events. She's giving minis for $55. Now that I'm getting my village checks, as much as I would, you know, like more income, I can do them for free. Um, Although I would say that that isn't unfair. What she's, if this is the one I saw before, Creators Unstuck, recording a live episode with colorful and distracting mics. But just to open up yet more things on my browser, because I needed to do that. Okay, just two more. Intervention. I'm not sure what that's about, but anyway. Um, I had an interesting visual just pop up when I'm doing this, which is that Dad um, not sure what I think of that, but anyway, is that Dad, and that's not the one I'm doing now, so I don't know why that's wrong. Um, is um, just kind of like waiting for me to focus. He says, "I want you to." I don't think it was much of it. It was like commission. Says wants me to go up and give hugs and maybe get kisses from the dog. Right. Says wants me to enjoy the things I want to watch and also do something that'll make me feel productive because he said that's really important. And when it's something that's fairly easy, he knows I can do it if I just get myself to. He says I've made a start and I've certainly also tried to. And during the podcast, he says that's not for nothing. It will reach who it's meant to reach when it's meant to reach them. Trust that, my oh, right, and and even if it seems like the day's going slow, it goes fast. It's not the end of the world if it takes a few days. It's true, but I just want to see you keep smiling and doing the things that make you happy. Because of course that makes me happy, and you know that. That makes all of us happy up here. Experiencing something kind of interesting though, and we'd had a great chat and everything. And maybe she thought she'd showed too much of herself in this person's chat. I'm not really sure what it is. I'm also just noticing now that I had all chat turned off, although it doesn't seem to make much difference. But I got to say, I'm a little bit offended when I look at this because, and sometimes when people say no offense, they truly mean it. Doesn't mean that it prevents it though. But she says that. I mean, she said she was enjoying listening to his music while we chatted, but now she's sitting here saying, and but now she's just for a sense of self, I would say. Um, um, maybe she felt like she wasn't able to help as much as she could, and it's true. She was in a university setting that would, led her down an interesting path, even if not to a degree, to working in the university by the sounds of it. She also got to do a lot of traveling in her young adulthood. And I said, yeah, that's not things that I can resonate with. But, we kept talking and this and that. And it sounds like she has to do a bunch of stuff. And maybe she's not one that plans to ever stay on anybody's podcast very long, but it happens. And maybe then she gets frustrated with herself. Everybody's different with that, and everybody's got a different life, right? But because she says here, I'm trying to, and I'll look back at hopefully I'll show later. I'm trying to take something from it, and I hope that she does too, because I feel like that's kind of the reason for it. Maybe that blue thing is now. I don't know. See a moment ago. Anywho, but she says, no offense intended to anyone. I want to believe that, but she said, I didn't know how useful it was. Uh, which I'm clarifying if I can. Sometimes people want attention or are desperate for a sense of attachment or connection. I'm glad that she didn't just call it attention. A sense of attachment. Not sure what she's meaning by that. Connection? Sure. And to feed that isn't always helpful. Um, Turns me from that you. When I see you acting hurt, if people have gone and looked at your channel, essentially known as oblige. But my guess was kind of right. I guess she still said. I think even though I maybe didn't allow myself to sit with it fully, I feel like my dad did say something quite powerful there. I've got an hour and a half, almost two, to do some other stuff. None of it's hugely pressing, but I would like to try and get to some of it. Um, what I'm trying to figure out right now is if it's not what I want it to be or what I need it to be necessarily in this. It's what is it? Um, with my channeling ability, which I really just do for myself, occasionally for others, I do have to run upstairs to him and I would hit for her to say, you know what? Did he say he was live now? Is he still live? Well, I don't know. I'm just going to go to his channel. Oh my gosh, he is live. And then boom, you know, it's kind of like I don't want to not be here on this video. But because when I hear sister, I can't but think of G's who recently passed away. And you know what I actually do see? And some could say, oh, well, you know, if you couldn't figure out which one it was, you'd just say it's both. But let's just see where it unfolds because maybe it is. Maybe it is. And I don't know if I'm brave enough to tell her. Um, you know, and again, this is where I mostly channel my own loved ones. So that's where my confidence is the strongest. I don't like to, even though I know I'm talented and skilled, presume that somebody has passed away for someone else without for sure knowing, which is why I'm going to say that this could be a girlfriend, as women like to call each other, that was like a sister, or it could be a sister. All I know is that I see kind of long, blonde, flowing hair, which some people say, oh, true angel, true angelic. But that's not something I know if I would say I know for sure, and do any of us. I mean, even that have had these experiences. Like I say, when I mostly channel my own loved ones, I am thinking of what they look like. So, um, you know, um, um, so I would say that in that case, that no, they don't. But is this an example of that or not? I don't know. I truly see what seems to be blonde hair and blue eyes in my and hands being held, and one of them is G's sister, and the other one seems to be some form of a sister to this other friend. So you can see the reason I engaged was because the other day you said that you. Living. So I hope that I might be able to say something useful, giving a different perspective. Um, Often people who are troubled and struggling with mental health issues engage with others who are in a similar situation. That doesn't always help. And I'm saying I've seen that work both ways. But I really should focus on this and wrapping this up soon and go from there. But I mean, she's back chatting with me, so I should have said talking. No. Um, and I heard this blonde lady said, "Well, I didn't like that remark." She's like, "I don't think it's funny." I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have appreciated your sister slash girlfriend, however it is, in a balanced condition. So maybe Doesn't seem to be able to take my thank you. And it's interesting that it says MLS because I would say that's how I would say it too. Um, what I'm also noticing a little bit right now because I am in communication with this person. I'm trying not to toggle too much because I'm worried I'm accidentally going to close this or that it will freeze up and that. So far, doing all right. But what I am sensing is that this lady is sorry, I'm just putting lotion on my hand. Um, and what I'm sensing is that, and again, even if this is for a particular person, it could resonate or mean something very powerful to me and possibly to you. So I'm going to keep rolling while I do this here. Now I've promised her, or I've not promised. I've said that I felt like there was one more message to give her today, and I've only been the best that we can be to her, as she has to me. And I'll just share it here. Yeah, I don't know if she would. She might not make it here, and then the fact that I kept going back, part of it was because I'm chatting. Um, I think you might not think they were talking to her, but basically, it says here, what I'm sensing channeling is that it's okay to not always be strong and not always have the answers. You're grounded, and you carry a confidence about you, and you bring that with love. That's why you're in the world and why you matter, and it's a good message for us all, really. The angels are proud for what they see you are doing in your life for yourself and for others. Which I'm not going to lie, there's a part of me that feels like that came from me, but there's also a part of me that really strongly feels like it didn't. Um, um, so, yeah, I mean, it came through me and I put it out there, but I don't feel like it was my words. I feel like it resonated, and that very well could just be because it kind of came to mention um, that you are so loved by those who know and love you, and that's a beautiful thing. We have somebody just tune in, um, and there's a part of me that feels like something I just heard spoken to me is maybe also meant to be for you. So I'm just going to read it here. Pardon my reading eyes. Uh, it's okay to not always be strong and not always have all the answers. You are grounded and you carry a confidence about you, and you bring that with love to the world. That's why you matter. And it's a good message for us all. The angels are proud for what they see you're doing in your life for yourself and for others. that you are so loved by those who you know and love, and that's a beautiful thing. Doesn't look like the person's still here, so maybe my reading eyes were creepy. In which case, I'm gonna do a few other things and not show them to you anymore. Um, but if you have song requests, I'll try and do them next time. If you have topic requests, same there. And until then, almost at 11:11, I'm going to wrap up and say have a great rest of your day. Be kind, love on, and I hope that yeah, that we may chat soon. I'll feel back. Don't get the rest of that on a break. I brought some, I did a couple podcasts that took about 2-3 hours out of the day in total. I chatted on another one. Um, I did some kitchen stuff, and the day really flies. So, yeah. Um, like I experienced something when that person briefly tuned in, and I read that again. But also, maybe it was meant for me to process as well. Meant for her, certainly. Meant for anyone else who it's meant for, but meant for me as well. In fact, there hasn't been a lot. There's been me a couple times, someone else a couple times, and the person I'm talking with a couple times, and one other. And now, as I say it, one other, and they're la 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 in themselves. But I'm seeing it still. It hasn't bounced up enough yet that I'm not. I realize that one will not always be strong. But that's okay. But we got to try and keep each other strong because we're all in this world together. We're all trying to exist and get through this life. Um, None of us have all the answers. None. Absolutely none. But some of us do have a lot of them. So you got to stay grounded and carry yourself with confidence and love. She just might not believe. I'm not sure. But believe it or not, it's saying nice things and good things to remember. So I think I'll leave you with that for today. I don't know if I'm going to roll tonight. I have other videos I want to watch, dinner to do, you know, and then I'm a bit busy tomorrow. But anyway, bye for now.